Welp, we didn't get much information on much, but we did have ourselves enough information to go out there and still make a video and just give a little bit of an update as to the situation in Quebec. Now, the Habs and the Capitals are playing game number 4, and as we had said earlier in today's show, the goaltending was going to be a concern. Sammy Montembeault got hurt. Logan Thompson got hurt, both in Game 3. So, heading into today's contest, the question was whether or not backup goaltenders Jakub Dobeš and or Charlie Lindgren would end up getting some playing time. Well, it doesn't seem like either head coach has revealed his hand fully, but from all of the conversations we had talked about in the prior video, it does seem like both head coaches are fairly confident in their backup goaltending staff. Now, for the Montreal Canadiens in particular, 2 days ago, on Friday, they had themselves an emergency backup on the bench. He had to suit up and be the extra guy just in case. And it turns out the Habs have now made themselves a move to address that just in case so that they don't have another e-bug situation. It's Cayden Primeau, who was recalled earlier this morning from the Laval Rocket, so he will be suiting up on the bench as Jakub Dobeš likely gets the start here today. It's good, though, because a lot of Habs fans are very confident in Jakub Dobeš. I think this is a guy that a lot of people are super, super excited to see, and I will say, it is kind of unfortunate because depending on how long Cayden Primeau is going to be up with the team, it does mean that he will likely miss out on a potential Laval game or two. The Rocket aren't playing until the middle of this week, so there is some time, but at the same time, Laval's opponent in Cleveland is not really all too great. And you also do have Jacob Fowler, who is pretty good himself. So maybe it's not that bad for the Laval Rocket. Obviously, Cayden Primeau has been superstar, amazing caliber quality for that team. It's just unfortunate that he was not able to do that at the NHL in really any significant capacity, to be honest. But Primeau, back up with the Habs. It looks like Dobeš is Montreal's only choice. But we did have ourselves some conversation on the Washington side. This was tweeted out earlier this morning by John Walton. Charlie Lindgren and Logan Thompson left the ice together just now. No indication of who starts. Their exit looked planned. Both of these guys getting onto the ice and leaving the ice together. Thompson was also in the starter's net, but ultimately, it doesn't really give us any confirmation as to what's going on here. If Lindgren or Thompson will get the start, it does not seem like Spencer Carbery and the Capitals are going to be revealing that anytime soon. Logan Thompson usually speaks on the game days, but he's unavailable because he hasn't been cleared yet, Eric Engels said. This is, of course, how the playoffs operate. So the Capitals being a little bit mysterious here, they're not going to showcase which goaltender it is, which makes it a little bit more difficult to come up with a game plan, I guess you could say. For Montreal, you think about it, Logan Thompson is a right-handed catching goaltender, and Charlie Lindgren is the more common left-catching goalie. And I know you don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details and say that has too significant of an impact, but when Montreal Canadiens shooters are lining up the goaltender, there is more of an awareness that you have to implement when you consider the fact that, I'm shooting on a guy who catches the opposite way. We all recognize that catching a puck is a lot different from swatting a puck out of the air with your blocker, so just the mechanics of that, internally, some Canadiens players might be in a headspace to think about that and have it impact the way that they shoot or have it change the way that they shoot. So it's a pretty significant difference, I would say. Thompson versus Lindgren, not just in terms of the quality of goaltenders, but in terms of the style and what these guys are able to do physically. So Montreal not getting that knowledge probably until puck drop. Pretty smart move on the Washington Capitals' behalf. It's just, for Montreal, you think about it like, hey, they went out there and had themselves a goaltending move. It's pretty obvious what their situation is going to look like. Sammy Montembeault, for as good as you were in the first 3 games, it's unfortunate, but I don't think he's going to get himself the next little while here in game action. Anyways, we did have ourselves some other injury conversations with the Montreal Canadiens. This was posted about and talked about by Eric Engels too. No Patrik Laine or David Savard at Habs morning skate. However, St. Louis did say he thinks that David Savard is going to play. Sammy Montembeault is also day-to-day. So there is the confirmation on Montembeault's status. But Savard, he hasn't really looked all too good, to be honest. He is a veteran stabilizing force when he is at his best, but, you know, I think I'll just say it kindly. This is probably a good time for the guy to retire, and we all recognize that he is going to do that once the playoff run concludes for the Montreal Canadiens, whether it's in this round or in any proceeding round afterwards. David Savard, though, if he's able to just kind of get his legs a little bit rested and not get a little bit overworked with a practice, then okay. Like, that's fine. St. Louis expressing confidence here. That's why Savard's still in the lineup after all. Although I will say, it's not like he has been the best player for Montreal this series so far. Hopefully the Canadiens are able to give him a little bit more support on the ice. Now, we have one more thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to today's game. It's a comment made from Alexander Ovechkin, because I thought this was really interesting for him to go out there and say. The questions earlier this morning, they were asking about the atmosphere in the building. Do you think that atmosphere played a role in the result of game number 3? And Ovechkin said, it was the same as Washington, pretty much. Ah, what a thing to say. Ovi, those are fighting words right there. I'm sorry, man, but that's not really something that you should go out there and say to this Canadiens fan base, after all. The Habs, the Bell Center, the Canadian fans going out there and chanting, ole, ole, oleing. I don't know if I'd say that it's similar to Washington. Maybe in terms of the cheers and the boos, but the energy, the vibes. There's something unmatched by the Montreal Canadiens home forum, and I think that's a pretty unanimous opinion. Maybe outside of Alex Ovechkin, but still. I'm sure Habs fans are going to get as excited today as they were in Game 3. That building just gives the Canadiens life, you know? It's all right there, just the emotional, infectious vibes in the Bell Center. Better than Washington? I'd probably say so, but Ovi doesn't agree. So we'll see what happens later today if the Canadiens fan base can prove him wrong. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about a bunch of these Canadiens news and notes. Cayden Primeau is up. We are unsure of the Washington Capitals starters. Patrik Laine is out. David Savard's probably going to play, but he also didn't participate in practice. And you got Alex Ovechkin going out there and talking some smack to the Canadiens fans. Okay, not really talking smack. But he is saying that the atmosphere didn't really play a part in the game, which is ideal, I would say, but I think it's not realistic to say that it didn't have a part in the game, period. I mean, you saw how fans are cheering their heads off every time Tom Wilson got leveled, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canadiens and the Caps. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.